So I'm loading up the familiar slide that you have been seeing, and of course I will be looking at moving it forward. So we've completed this. So today we are going to, and I think we did 6 also. So we're going to chapter 7.
Okay.
Okay.
Rajshekhar,
So,
yesterday
yes.
Mitra was talking about it. He said speed is very fast. Can we reduce the pace? What his suggestion was. So I told him, no, the speed is fast, but if unless there's no speed, you will not read also. So can we make two chapters in a session instead
That
of
will
3?
be good. That will be good. Yeah,
I have no problem. I have no problem because you see, the whole idea is that it should suit the pace of the students, and therefore, if you're comfortable with 2, I'm happy with 2. If you're comfortable with 1, I'm happy with 1. Because you see, I do 2 shlokas in 1 hour, 3 chapters.
No, I think that will be too slow. I think if we can make 2 chapters then we'll be able to finish in another 6 weeks.
Yeah, no problem.
मैं ये समझता हूँ कि अभी गीता को जरा सा और कायदे से समझ लिया जाए, इसमें थोड़े दिन डूबते हैं, उसके बाद उपनिषदों पे आएंगे.
हाँ, मुझे भी ऐसा ही लग रहा है.
एक्चुअली जब पहले चल रहा था तो हम लोग पढ़ते नहीं थे, अब थोड़ा पढ़ने लगे हैं तो अब थोड़ा डूब रहे हैं उसमें. अब मतलब लग रहा है कि हाँ भाई जरूरत की चीज है,
सुधरने का वक्त है.
In fact, when I was reading chapter 7, I found this is one of the important chapter of after Karma Yoga. This is one of the important to understand the total theory. Chapter 7 I found. And still I have not gone to some big commentator or something like that. I had gone only through summary.
Yeah, absolutely correct. In fact, I was about to say that. So we will do chapter 7 and chapter 8 today. In fact,
yeah,
you may begin here.
I think Vishwarup also has come joined.
Yeah, Vishwarup, very good morning to you. How are you?
Fine.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I'm able to hear you.
Okay, but I think your voice is very faint. We can't hear you. But as long as you can hear me, at least in the initial phase, it is fine with me. Okay, so let me begin the 7th chapter very formally, and we will do only 2 chapters today. So the broad background is that the Bhagavad Gita is divided into 18 chapters, and these chapters have been given certain broad themes. Now, we have all heard of the Mahavakya. The Mahavakya, there are 4 Mahavakyas which you find. One Mahavakya is Tattvamasi, Aap wo ho, Pragyanam Brahmya, Ayam Atma Brahma, and Aham Brahmasmi. These are the 4 Mahavakyas which summarize what the Vedas have to say. Each one of them is attached to one Veda. So if you take the Mahavakya called Tat Tvam Asi. Tat means wo, Tvam means you, Asi means ho. Mane tum wo ho. Wo kaun hai? Wo is Brahma. So tum Brahma ho, that's what it means. Tat Tvam Asi. These are the most famous condensations of the meaning of the Vedas. So Tattvamasi is one. Pragyanam Brahma, which means wisdom is Brahma. Ayam Atma Brahma. Ayam means ye, Atma जो मेरे अंदर है, वो ब्रह्मा है. Ayam Atma Brahma. And Aham Brahmasmi, मैं ब्रह्म हूँ. So these are the 4 Mahavakyas. Now the Bhagavad Gita has been correlated to one of these Mahavakyas, which is Tat Tvam Asi. Now, how is it correlated? Okay. Now, if you look at the first 6 chapters, it is about Tvam. It is about you. You are the Atma. You should not have how you should do karma, how you should meditate. So it is all about the individual. It's about the jiva. The next 6 chapters, which is the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th chapter, is about Tat. Tat means Bhagavan. Tat means Brahma. So Tat, Tvam. So we can reverse the order. Tvam is the first six, Tat is the next six, Asi. So the last six chapters, the 13th to the 18th chapter, tell you how to establish the equivalence between Tat and Tvam, between Atma and Brahma, so that you can make the statement Aham Brahmasmi. To make the statement Aham Brahmasmi, you should know the equation. What is the practical way of changing your attitude from being what is called Dehatma Buddhi to being, Atma Buddhi or Atma, being aware that you are the Atma and not the Deha. So that is where we need to understand, as Sunil mentioned, the 7th chapter is an important chapter because it is where we start encountering more and more of bhakti. The first 6 chapters are primarily Jnana Yoga, then Karma Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, we find to a very great extent in the 6th chapter, and a certain amount of Bhakti Yoga here and there. But these are just 1 or 2 shlokas. These are not any continued set of shlokas. Just a hint or a reference is being made to Bhakti Yoga in the first 6 chapters because it really deals with the knowledge about the Atma. Now we have to understand what is Paramatma. And Paramatma or Brahma is what is elaborated in chapter 6 by Sunil when he went through the entire, at least a few of the shlokas of the chapter. So let us look at what the 7th chapter is titled in the first place. The 7th chapter is called Jnana Vijnana Yoga.
Unable to hear you, Raj.
To remind you these things. Oh, you're not able to hear me. Okay, so let me mute my video and see whether there is a better. Are you able to hear me better now?
It's better now. Okay, presentation is there now. Okay.
You can switch off
So
your
I'm going
video
to
also.
stop. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
So are you able to hear me better now? Is it
Yeah.
clearer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So let's look at, of course, we don't have the shlokas on display as far as the 7th chapter is concerned, but let's quickly run through the logic of these shlokas, and then, we'll be able to understand. So the first theme is mention of experienced knowledge. Of course, that's the way it has been used by the commentator who has created these divisions. So what do we have? So let's look at the 7th chapter. And of course, you need not, you just listen to me. And as far as the shlokas are concerned, you can always go back to the shlokas at leisure. So the first 3 shlokas are basically talking about the fact that Krishna is going to give him Jnana and Vijnana. So how is Jnana and Vijnana differentiated? So one is, let us say I tell you that you have to do meditation. That is Jnana. And let us say after doing meditation, you talk about your experience. That is Vijnana, right? So anything that you experience, so it can be called as essential knowledge and detailed knowledge. Another way of splitting it is theory and practice. Another way of splitting the entire matter is knowledge as told by the teacher and knowledge as experienced by you. So the first 3 shlokas basically tell you that there is something that Krishna is going to say, which is going to be factual input, and there is something that Krishna is going to say, which is going to be the experience of that factual input in your life or in the world around you. So that is what the first 3 shlokas, they just introduce the topic like in every other chapter. the first 3 shlokas set the theme of the chapter. Now we have 4 to 7, a very interesting special presentation, in the sense that it talks about bhumi, apo, analo, that is earth, fire, water, air, ether, manas, buddhi, and intellect. So it talks about the 8 divisions of nature, prakriti. Then it says that these 8, which is the 5 panchabhutas with manas, buddhi, and ahamkara, right? Ahamkara, right? Ahamkara is there. So 5 elements and manas, buddhi, ahankara, which are anyway a part of the antakaran. So Bhagavan says that this is the, sorry, I think I moved forward. So this is the lower nature. Higher nature is also there, and the higher nature is Brahma, and that is what we need to understand. So lower nature and higher nature is Brahma, lower nature is Prakriti. That is the concept that is introduced in the second theme, which is between shloka 4 and 7. And the best of the shlokas is the 7th one, which I will now quickly read for you. It says, Mattah parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvamidam protam sutre maniganaya. So it is actually trying to integrate whatever has been said in the previous shlokas by saying that there is nothing higher than me, O Arjuna. So just like you have the string which is there in a necklace, I am the string which is there behind this entire world. So the phenomenal world and the transcendental. The transcendental is something purely in English, transcendental is something that is not observable. Phenomenal, we understand phenomenon is what you can observe. So the transcendental, the para, is what is like the string of the necklace, because when you see the necklace, you don't see the string, you see the gems. So that is what the second theme talks to us about. Then we have the third theme, which is immanence of the Atma in the entire objective universe. So here what happens is, in about 8 to 12, 5 shlokas, Bhagavan says many things. I am the rasa of water, I am the shining of the moon, I am the sun, I am the fragrance of the earth. So it gives you the phenomenal. So this is the Vijnana, right? So principle has been stated that I am there behind both the phenomenal universe and I am also there as the transcendental principle. That principle has been indicated in 4 to 7. Now in 8 to 12, so that is Jnana. So 4 to 7 is Jnana, 8 to 10 is Vijnana, application of the Jnana. So hello? I think there's an echo from someone. Okay, I don't know who.
Yeah. Sunil Rastogi, if you connect to 2 devices, echo will come.
So I think now it's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay now.
Okay, fine. Cool. So 8 to 12, as I was saying, is full of examples, which is Vijnana, saying that I am the holy fragrance of earth, I am the glow of fire, Tejasmi, then Balam Balavatam-asmi, and the strength of the strong. So all practical examples. So an immediate example of Vijnana. So that is still 12. Then 13 to 19 is very interesting, because 13 to 19 now goes to a little element of Bhakti Yoga. So it talks about Bhaktas and it talks about the qualities of Bhaktas, right? Saying that, Chadur Vija Bhajante Mam. This is 16 shloka, which says that there are 4 types of people who worship me. One who suffers, one who seeks knowledge. That is, Artho Jigya Surarthaki Jnani Cha Bharatarshava. So who are these 4 kinds of devotees? The ones who suffer, the ones who seek knowledge, the ones who are seeking material benefit, and the one who is wise. Okay. So 13 to 19 deals with the qualities of the bhaktas. Okay. Then we have 20 to 23. What do we have in 20 to 23? We have a very interesting statement which says that the way you approach the deity is the way the deity will respond to you. So the famous shloka here is the 21st one, which goes like this: Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktah shraddhaya chitumicchati tasya tasya chalam shraddha tamiva vidadhamyam. That is, in whatever form the devotee wishes to worship with faith, in that form I strengthen his faith. आप जैसे मुझे जो अर्पण करेंगे उसी प्रकार से मैं आपके श्रद्धा को जो है support करूंगा. That's the whole idea behind. So definitely we find that there is a transition to bhakti and to the prayerful attitude towards the deity in theme number 5. So when we look at the flow of the chapter, broadly it says Jnana and Vijnana. Then you have Jnana in theme 2, Vijnana in theme 3, and suddenly you jump themes to something more aligned to the broader theme of bhakti in 13 to 19. 20 to 23, it talks about how you approach God. And then finally 24 to 30, and of course, we are looking at a broad overview. 24 to 30 looks very broadly at the kind of knowledge. So again, it comes back to the theme of the chapter, which is Jnana and Vijnana. So it gives more of Jnana. So let me give you an example. What is the Jnana that we have in shlokas 24 to 30? Let me take as an example shloka 26. What is shloka 26? It is in the words of Bhagavan. What does Bhagavan say? Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjunah bhavishyani ja bhutani matu vedana kashana, which is, I know the beings of the past, the present and the future of Arjuna, but none knows me. So this is one statement that Bhagavan knows about past, present and future, but we as human beings do not know about past, present and future. So it is a piece of jnana, and we will realize it to be vijnana, because if I were to ask any one of you what is going to happen in future, you don't know. If I were to ask any one of you as well as myself, what was my past birth? I mean, very rarely can anybody talk about their past birth. So these are all applications of the factual knowledge. So it's like saying thesis and application, theory and application. And therefore, there are a number of principles about Bhagavan which are given between shloka 24 and 30, which are points of jnana. In between, application is to be inferred or application is given directly. So let me give you an example of so this is the 29th shloka, which says Jara Marana Mokshaya Mama Shritya Yatantite Te Brahma Tadvidu Kritsnam Adhyatma Parma Chakilam. So those who take refuge in me strive for deliverance from old age and death, fully know the Brahman, the self, and all manner of karma. So these are some very broad statements which are made, and since we may be used to the precise logic that you have in the first 6 chapters, initially a little difficult to digest because there is no supporting evidence that offers. Bhagavan says aisa hai. So you have to simply accept it on faith that this is the way the universe works, because there will be a number of higher level statements that are being made by Bhagavan here, which have to be accepted. Oh, what's happened there? 1 minute. Oh, yeah, which have to be accepted on face value. So there is always a little difficulty when it comes to acceptance of some of the broad level statements, because they are totally based on Shraddha. So watch out for Shraddha based demands of Lord. He says, but aisa hai, you have to believe it. So when you go through the chapter, you may find that themes 5 and 6 will stretch your rationality, and you need to accept the broader knowledge of the Lord that is being given to you. Now, with that broad overview of the chapter, which I think is helpful, let's look at some of the conclusions from, what's the time left? 9 minutes, we have time. We'll complete this chapter and then we will move to the 8th one and then change over. Okay. So what are some of the insights offers the man with finite intelligence can comprehend infinite reality by the insight of the divine illusion. So this is a statement that is a broad statement of jnana and vijnana, right? So your jnana is finite and your vijnana becomes infinite. That is one interpretation that I see here. Then when unexpressed nature of pure consciousness manifests, the universe is created. So this comes from the fact that there is a transcendental element and that is unseen behind the scene. So we see modern science sees the phenomena. The modern science does not see the link behind the phenomena because each is taken to be a independent aspect to be studied, which is why you have all the disciplines that have been created and many sub-sciences that are created. But what is the connecting thread that modern science is struggling to find out, which is what they are trying to do in trying to create the theory of everything. So this is the theory of everything that we have. In fact, the statement that I had made, or rather the shloka I had read, Mai sarvam idam protam sutre mani ganava. Sutra mein mani jo hota hai, jo sutra hai wo main hu, is what Bhagavan says, and that is the theory of everything from the Sanatana Dharma perspective. Of course, modern science and Western science does not accept this yet. So, so this is called the absolute self. So what I called a sutra is in the third insight here called the universe originates from, sustains on, dissolves in the nature of the absolute self. The essence of qualities in living and non-living beings is the expression of all-pervading self. So this fourth insight is actually from the you would find examples of that between shlokas 8 and 12 actually, and that's what it indicates, that living and non-living beings are vijnana in the sense that they are expressions of the knowledge of the all-pervading self or the absolute self. The glorious capabilities and talents of beings are all the more vital expression of the Almighty. This is also from shlokas 8 to 12, which indicate how amongst human beings and amongst the phenomena that you see, the Supreme is manifest. Though we cannot see it directly, it's behind all these phenomena. Then some of the other insights offered are, of course, this is one, one should abandon reluctance to exert oneself tamas, so as to achieve a state of passionate activity rajas, and in due course rajas is also to be left behind in order to reach a harmonious passionate state, which is sattvic. Now, of course, there is I think one of the shlokas, yeah, correct. So it says, this is actually from shloka 12. Ye cheva sattvika bhava rajasas tamasashtiye mat eve titan vidhi natvam teshu temai. The next one is the whole world, that is Tribhir gunamayer bhaver ebhi sarvamidam jagat mohitam navi janati mamebhya paramabhyam. Which is the whole world is deluded by the three gunas, which is what you find in 7. So 6 and 7 are stemming from, of course, if you sequentially go through it, you may be able to correlate. For some of these, you'll have to really understand the shloka to find the correlation, but broadly they flow. So in fact, if you were to do this exercise once again, I would suggest that, where is this? Yeah. That you can actually correlate the themes, these insights, first to the themes, then try to insight to the shlokas. But of course, you may find one or two to be deep insights which are non-correlatable, and therefore you have to obviously look at other commentaries to understand the basic meaning and derive your own understanding. So
May I say a small thing here? May I say a small thing here on point number 6? See, these 3 shlokas I just read again, and they are actually talking about these gunas. But ये जो इन्होंने ये करना है कि इसको पहले करो, फिर उसको करो, फिर ड्यू कोर्स में वो बन जाओ, ये बात इन श्लोकाओं से नहीं निकलती है. वो मतलब गुणों का जो एक्सप्लेनेशन कहीं और दिया होगा, उसके हिसाब से इन्होंने अपनी उसका इंसाइट दे दिया है.
Yeah, so what he has done is, he has given his Vijnana. How to apply this? Okay, so I may have knowledge of Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva. So what do I do with it? So he's applied his mind and he has said, "Theek hai. From Tamas you go to Rajas, from Rajas you go to Sattva." So he's giving you the Vijnana of the basic knowledge. So that's why it's interesting to read Professor Tiwari or Dr. Tiwari. He may not be directly derivable, but of course, you're very right when you say that it is not a word-to-word extrapolation. There is a certain amount of processing which has been done and which we need to understand.
नहीं, इन्होंने तो एक्चुअली गीता में जो श्लोक नंबर 13 दिया गया है उसमें तो साफ साफ लिख दिया गया है कि ये गुणों से परे वाले जो होते हैं वो मतलब इसलिए इन तीनों गुणों से परे मुझे अविनाशी को नहीं जानते, ये इसका मीनिंग निकल रहा है। तो मतलब उन्होंने तो उसके गुणों से परे जाने की बात कही है।
हाँ, but then you cannot go pare without going step by step. That's the logic. अगर मैं तमस में हूं तो मैं एकदम मैं तमस को भी छोड़ के, रजस को भी छोड़ के, सत्व को भी छोड़ के गुणातीत नहीं बन सकता। अगर मैं किसी एरिया में तमस में हूं तो पहले मुझे जो है तमस से रजस में जाना है, रजस से सत्व में जाना है, सत्व में जाने के बाद मुझे उसके अतीत होना है।
This is my point is, Raj, this is separate knowledge. Matlab, this knowledge doesn't derive from these slokas.
Yeah. So you see, these insights are his insights of a lifelong study. So some of them are very directly derivable, some of them are not. Some of them are not. Definitely, I agree with you totally there. I'm not saying that you have to force fit the understanding. You cannot force fit the understanding. So it makes you think as to why he has said it, because after all, so that is where the importance of the person lies. So you would agree that Dr. Tiwari is a person generally whose head is sitting right. So if he makes a statement like this, why is he making a statement? So what you must do is you must read actually जो बीच में जो उनका जो explanation है, like he has, before he comes to this, since you have the book with yourself,
yeah,
if you read that, you get some idea. You'll get some idea, but all of them are not correlatable. So I'm not at all blindly supporting the correlation. That may not happen, right? So let me give you an example. So let us say that I've been smoking, right? I've been smoking. I have become a chain smoker. Okay. Now it is good not to have any attraction to smoking at all. But I cannot become someone who has de-addicted myself from smoking in one stroke. No. So the first thing is that I take a resolution that I will stop smoking. That is first of all tamasic level. Then at a rajasic level, I should say, भैया जब मैं सिगरेट की दुकान के आगे से जाऊंगा मेरा हाथ फड़केगा नहीं और मैं पैसे नहीं निकालूंगा. Okay. Then the third level is you got some control कि भाई आपके साथ में अगर कोई पी रहा है अब मैं उससे नहीं पूछूंगा, तो जो स्मोक आ रहा है उससे मैं प्रभावित नहीं होगा, वो जो है सात्विक कंट्रोल है. फिर उसके बाद आप बोलेंगे कि भाई सिगरेट क्या चीज है, मैं तो जानता ही नहीं हूँ सिगरेट.
वंडरफुल.
कौन सिगरेट क्या होता है? करेक्ट. सो दिस कौन सिगरेट क्या होता है इस गुणातीत होना. करेक्ट. तो दिस इज आवर सिचुएशन. सो गुणातीत होना बहुत बढ़िया है, but what Tiwari is saying is you start from where you are and slowly build up. That is the logic. And I can talk to you about cigarette because I used to be a chain smoker in college. No, so I have been through these steps. So I have been through these steps, and therefore I know exactly what happens. And the example is a very apt example. Correct. So we need to appreciate and understand that.
तो अभी गुणातीत हो गए नहीं हो गए?
बिल्कुल सर, अभी तो क्या कितने साल हो गए. And no, in fact, I must tell you the story behind how I stopped smoking. Okay, it's important to relate that. So this is in the year 2000. So this is about what 17 years? 17 years after passing out. We passed out in 83, right? So on and off, I used to. I mean, it was not as intense as it was in college. So on and off, I used to keep smoking. And I was conducting a program for the RBI Staff College in Chennai. And it was on attitudes and positive attitudes and all that. And at that point in time, I was still smoking a few cigarettes per day. So usually what happens when you have, and this was a 4-day seminar, 4-day workshop. So during the break time, all the smokers will collect together and have coffee and cigarettes, right? This is a standard practice of anybody who smokes. So whether you are a trainer or whether you are a participant, all smokers will get together because unka jo hai bhaichara rehta hai. Right? So this was absolutely unka bhaichara hota hai. And then so the program went out very well. And then usually, you know, in all the public sector, you have a valedictory, you know, general manager will open in the open, or valedictory at the end, general manager will again come and will close the training program. So at the end of the, at the valedictory, the general manager who had inaugurated came back and asked about it. How do you like the program? Oh, very good. This, that, falana, ye. Then it was actually a program called Adventures in Attitude, which is how your attitudes can make a difference. Okay, so one of the participants said, you know, Mr. Rajshekhar, you've conducted a good program, but you know, can you give an example where your own life has been impacted by what you teach us? Is it only that you're teaching us, or you also apply it to yourself? Okay, he asked that question. So then I don't know, mere muh se kya tha, because I was trying for many years to stop smoking. Maine aise hi keh diya. See, next time you see me, see, I think we spoke about willpower. Next time you see me, I will not be smoking. Right? मैंने कह दिया ये public में, and therefore it was okay. But then I didn't realize, because usually what happens is these training programs are one-off. There is no follow-up training program. Now I remembered, after I made this public commitment, that for this particular group, after 1 month, there is a follow-up, 1-day follow-up to revise the material. अरे भाई कहाँ आसमान से गिरे खजूर में लटके. Okay, so I had exactly 4 weeks to stop smoking, because I didn't want to go there and say I have stopped smoking when I have not stopped smoking. You know, that much integrity I wanted to maintain as a trainer. So first 2 weeks I didn't do anything, but third week I said, Baba, this is your future, this is your career, this is your health also. Anyway, you've been wanting to stop smoking, and therefore you better stop. So since 2000, I think that day, that third week onwards, I stopped smoking, and I stopped smoking ever since then. So अभी तो क्या 21 साल हो गया, right? So अभी तो हम गुणातीत हो गए. So let me give you one more. So let me give you one more example. This was in 2003. I had actually gone to NTPC, Farakka. I was doing the training. I was doing the same program, same Adventures in Attitudes program, which is one branded program that we had. And I was doing it for the officers of NTPC. Now, so there I told this story, saying that 3 years ago I stopped smoking, I did this and this. So one of the participants, you know, raised his hand, sir, I also want to stop smoking. So then I said, okay, you come here. आगे आओ मेरे. So then I said, तुम्हारे पॉकेट में सिगरेट है क्या? उसने एक पैकेट निकाला. तो मैंने कहा, अभी इस पैकेट को जमीन पे रखो और उसको घिस दो. Right now, for anybody who smokes, that is the worst possible thing to do. Correct? It is not the money, but you know, it is the sheer attraction of the cigarette that will prevent him. Okay, तो मैंने उससे वो करवाया. फिर मैंने कहा, okay, now this has been done by this gentleman in front of all of you who are his colleagues. So there are 2 more things you have to do. That if he asks any one of you, now I'm not saying all smokers should stop smoking because you're not raised your hand, but any of you smokers who are there in the group sitting in front, you must not give him a cigarette if he asks you. So that is rule number 2. Rule number 3 is that if anybody sees him buying a cigarette henceforth, can go and slap him. So I don't know. I mean, after that, I didn't actually have an opportunity to go back to NTPC. But what I'm trying to say is, unless you are a gunatit, you cannot make all these statements. Correct? So the point is that I can very proudly say that I'm gunatit because I know. So maybe the point that I wanted to make in the learning was that we always have to go step by step. Sometimes it happens in one go. If you're tried many times, you know, like, you know, tamas se rajas se sattva, I stopped for 2 weeks, again came back. So that happened many times for me. So in one stroke, after 17 years of my passing out, I said no. And it worked for me. So in the same way, जो आपका प्रयास होता है, वो अगर आप प्रयास करते रहेंगे तो आप गुणातीत जरूर बनेंगे, no doubt about it. This is from personal experience. But unless you keep trying or you know what you have to become, like there are hundreds of things where we may want to improve ourselves and become gunatit. So what the Lord says is that at least if we have the experience of becoming gunatit in one area correctly, then you can handle other areas. So एक एरिया में आप गुणातीत बन जाओ, बाकी सब एरिया आपकी मुट्ठी में है, in the sense you know the kind of mental control that is required to become gunatit. So I thought I should share this experience with you, Sunil, because
Good. Excellent.
personal experience, very direct experience.
Yeah. We'll get inspired too much.
Please don't get inspired to start smoking, okay? And then say I'll become gunatit from the first level.
Real life experience.
नहीं, मेरे ख्याल से कोई और स्मोक नहीं करता. I left in 2006. Within in one go. In one go.
Correct. So ठीक है. So we will, shake hands very quietly among ourselves when we come to Bangalore. We won't tell our wives why we are shaking hands. Okay. Okay. So fine. So let me share screen once again. And let me look at so we've completed the 7th chapter now, broadly speaking. Of course, please go through it. Now, we have about 15 minutes, so I think I will quickly run through the 8th chapter, okay? Now, let me look at the shlokas of the 8th chapter and try to complete that. So the 8th chapter is a very different chapter, in the sense that you might actually, strictly speaking, the 7th and the 9th chapter have a degree of continuity in terms of theme. The 8th chapter simply looks as though it has been put in the sequence without any head or tail, is what you would understand, because it begins with Arjuna's questions and Bhagavan's answers. So Arjuna asks some very, very technical questions. Ye term ka kya meaning hai? So he asks some questions about some 7 terms. Kya kim tad brahma, kim adhyatmam, kim karma purushottama, adhibhutam cha kim proktam, adidevam kim uchyate, adhiyagya katam kotra dehesmin madhusudana, which is ब्रह्म क्या होता है, आत्मा क्या होता है, कर्म क्या होता है, दुनिया की हकीकत क्या होती है, और हेवन का हकीकत. So he asked some 8 questions, and the final question, which is the question which goes like this: Prayana kale geyosi. So 7 questions are answered in very short, 2-word answers, or not even 2 sentences, very short answers. And the entire chapter is the answer to the 8th question, which is, Marne ke time mein, in my last moments, how should I be? What should my thinking process be? And that is a question which makes us move to theme 2. So in theme 2, we have Pranava and its wonderful effects. So that's where the Lord says that if in the last moments of your life, you are able to chant Om, it is very good. And then he looks at helping you understand what is Om. So he says, for example, the famous statement, which is, the 7th shloka is, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha. Mayarpita mano buddhir mame veshyasya samshaya. Therefore, remember me. So if you remember me throughout your life, you will also remember me in the last minutes, last moments. So that is the broad theme. And what you must actually chant throughout your life is Om. Right? So he says there is another very famous shloka of his, which is Omityekaksharam Brahma Vyaharan Mam Anusmaran Iha Prayati Tyajan Deham Sayati Paramam Gatim. This is 13th shloka, which is still falling in the second theme, which says, he who at the time of leaving his body closes all the gateways of the senses, fixes his mind in his heart and his life breath in his head, remembering me, utters the divine monosyllable Om, he attains the supreme state. Okay. So, in other words, the first theme is a set of technical questions, and the last question is what happens in the final moments of any Jivatma's life. It's not you or me as individuals, but any human being is a Jivatma. What happens in the final moments? And between 9 and 16, Bhagavan says that it is what you think continuously throughout your life that you will be thinking in the final moments. And therefore, you must think of me at all points in time, because you don't know when your final moment is going to be. And further, he advises that it is useful to chant Om or internalize Om, because if you have not chanted Om, suddenly in your last minute, you cannot start chanting Om. You must have the practice of some meditation so that it becomes a habit at times of work and at times of crisis also. Okay. Now, the third theme. So from 17 to 19, the entire chapter goes into cosmology. Okay. So it talks about how creatures are created and how they are dissolved. So it takes a very broad leap, because the connection is like this, that the first theme ends with the question on what happens in the final moments. Then the second theme looks at death. And therefore, from the death of an individual, it suddenly moves to the death of the universe. How is the universe created? How is the universe born? So there is a sudden helicopter view from the individual all the way up to the universe, and how the universe is created, how it is maintained, how it is destroyed. So 17 to 19 look at that. And 20 to 22 also looks at that, in the sense there is avyakta and avyakta. There is something which is seen and something which is unseen in the universe. So, that's what happens. I would put actually theme 3 and 4 together. So when you study the Gita for this chapter, you must look at 3 and 4 more or less together, which is 17 to 19 to 22. 17 to 22 can be one block, which you try to understand in one theme. Okay. Then we have a very curious set of shlokas, 23 to 26, which talks about something which is maybe some lost knowledge. So it says that if you die in certain moments, in Shukla Paksha, Dakshinayana, Uttarayana, it gives you various representations of time, and says that if you die during these times, you will not be reborn. And it then says, Krishna Paksha, night time, and it gives some other categories of time where if you die at that point in time, you will be reborn. But in terms of practical logic of whatever has been said there in the fifth theme, you would find that there are many wise people who have died in the so-called times when they are not liberated. So, commentators have taken different points of view. They talk about, sattva, rajas, and tamas. So I would leave you to, so don't expect too much of clarity when you look at theme 5. Don't break your head too much over it, because many commentators have simply skipped giving any logical explanation to 5. In fact, modern commentators say it is some ancient wisdom whose reality we have lost, is what some people say. Then finally, we have 27 and 28, which are the last 2 shlokas of the chapter. And they basically talk about the fact that you should be a yogi. So, of course, what kind of yogi is not defined, but essentially be a yogi throughout life. So we go back to the fact that you need to think of God all the time, or have God as your direction. Then your last minutes are fine. So the kind of yogi that is being recommended in the last 2 shlokas is a yogi who remembers God and does everything. And therefore, since as a human being, you are unaware of what your final moments are going to be, you are prepared for the final moment at any point in time, because you are constantly in remembrance of the Lord. That is what we should remember when it comes to the final shlokas of this chapter. which is always remember God and do your work, then any moment can be my last moment. I'm prepared for it. I know I am that very brave person who's not afraid of death, and I can die at any moment with a clean mind because I'm always aligned to God. Alignment ho gaya hai, baki sab upar wale ke haath mein. If you're misaligned, then of course you have problems, you fear death, you're afraid, and all that happens. So actually this chapter will make you fearless. Bhai apna om 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 kiya, and then you become fearless. So you will not fear death at all. Of course, the basic message in the Gita itself is abhay, darne se koi matlab nahi hai. So this reinforces that because it gives you the logic of death. It gives you how to die in a way that will ensure your future also. So I'm not going into the insights at this point in time, Tiwari ji's insights. I'm just going to stop here. Tiwari ji's insights are there. I will leave it for you to kind of explore that, but the quality of the insights. Some of them are his own understanding. Some of them are directly correlatable. Of course, the whole idea, as I was sharing with Sunilji, was it stimulates you to use the resources you have to understand why he's saying it, because he's not just somebody who's saying it. He is a person of some consequence who's saying it. You may not agree with all persons of consequence. That's your right. But at least when you are stimulated to explore, your understanding of the chapter becomes deeper than simply reading it. So this is the bait to make you read the chapter well and try to correlate the entire matter. So I'm going to stop the share here because I'm not actually going into the 8th chapter's insights, but would look forward to your questions and thoughts on whatever I said about the 8th chapter. Yes, Sunil Rastogi.
Yeah, this is title of the chapter is Akshar Brahma Yoga. So Brahma Yoga is united with the Brahma. What I could understand. Akshara is it's an alphabet Om, because I could not find Akshar or Char. It is taken in that sense, or it is a.
Yeah. So the Akshar that is being used here, Akshara, is Kshay Hona is that which decays. Akshar माने जो क्षय नहीं होता, which is perpetual. तो जो ब्रह्म है वो perpetual है. It is used as an adjective to define Brahma. So Akshara Brahma. Brahma जो कभी क्षय नहीं होता, उसको अक्षर ब्रह्मा बोलते हैं. Of course, Akshara is also used in the sense of letter. So very right. In fact, the reason, in fact, the logic of why alphabet is called Akshara is this. सनातन धर्म में ये माना जाता है कि जो भी आप दिल से बोलते हैं, जो आपकी आवाज निकलती है, वो कहीं ना कहीं टिकी रहती है. Therefore, तो आपने अगर कुछ बोला है तो वो अक्षर है, वो कभी क्षय नहीं होता है. तो इसीलिए आप संभल के बोलिए. That is why जो हमारे जो ऋषि मुनि हैं, जब वो शाप देते हैं तो उनका शाप जो है अक्षर होता है, वो कभी डीके नहीं होता है. तो इसलिए हम तो क्या क्या बोल देते हैं उल्टा सीधा. We don't understand. Yeah, absolutely. So when we are truly spiritually aligned, then every word of ours has got some spiritual power. उसको अक्षर शक्ति बोलते हैं. इसलिए जो हमारा क ख ग ग न है, च ज है, उसको अक्षर बोलते हैं, क्योंकि ये कभी चेंज नहीं होता ना. क ख ग ग न जो रहा है वो तो सदियों से रहा है, उसमें कोई चेंज नहीं है. Of course, what I am saying is a little application of that, and I think Sunil ji has done a lot of work there, so he's smiling.
Second is this is Vigyan, Gyan and Vigyan. Gyan is understood. Vigyan I missed because there was a power trip during that time.
So let me put it to you this way. So if I say rolling friction causes heat, that is Gyan. If I say please put grease in the bearing because heat has to be drawn away, then that is Vigyan. Correct. So it is an application of the knowledge. So whenever, so if I say that, look, you have to meditate every day, you will feel better. That is Gyan. If you come back to me and say, Rajshekhar, I meditated 5 minutes for 1 week and I felt better, that is Vigyan.
The application of the knowledge is a Vigyan.
Yeah, experience, application, and your articulation of that experience.
आजकल उसी को हम टेक्नोलॉजी बोलते हैं.
बिल्कुल सर.
साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी की डेफिनेशन में ऐसे ही समझाया जाता है.
Absolutely. Science is the basic principles, technology is the application.
The third is a Vidyanand Prakash, जिसके आपने वो point लिए हैं. What is that book? How it contains? Because I found 2 books very important and I can share with. One is Dr. Ram Shankar Tiwari and second is Satyavrat Siddhant Kalankar. अगर ये 2 बुक पढ़ते हैं तो आप गीता को समझने में बहुत आसानी होती है. मेरे को एटलीस्ट मेरा एक्सपीरियंस ये है.
बिल्कुल सर.
हाँ, मतलब instead of going to main Gita, I am still not touch the main Gita कि उसको हम जाकर के उसकी कमेंट्री
रोज पढ़ते हैं.
हाँ, ये 2 किताबें जो है ना, I think everyone should have, जिसको थोड़ी नॉलेज गेन करनी है.
करेक्ट. So इससे क्या होता है? You become familiar with the ideas and ideology of the Gita. Correct. So once you are familiar with the ideas, ideology, and articulation of the ideas in the Gita, then you can step into other commentaries, because it basically you don't feel lost. अरे chapter 8 में ये होता है, कोई बोलेगा तो you cannot say अरे यार ये तो बहुत ज्ञानी है.
नहीं, क्योंकि ये साधु सन्यासियों की नहीं है, ये उसी तरह के बैकग्राउंड के लोगों की है जिन्होंने नॉर्मल एजुकेशन सिस्टम से आगे निकल के बात एक्सप्लेन किया है.
Whole point. See, I made it a point, Sunil ji, to own. I mean, I have categorized. I don't know whether you recall. Initially, जब मैंने start किया था, I categorized all the commentators of the Gita. So to me, the Gita as commented by a scientist, by a philosopher, by a physicist is more relatable than that of Shankaracharya. You can come to Shankaracharya after you read all of them. तो जो आम जनता वाला जो गीता है, he has taken some time to understand.
And I think everyone should have Swami Brajeshwara also in his who wants to learn. But that is my experience. All these 3 will suffice initially if
Correct.
you want to go and get into, at least for people like us.
Sir, we are all the same, correct? So the only thing is, we may have started a little earlier, and we would have landed up with some understanding. But I am mighty thrilled that we have at least 5 of my dear friends, 4 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, who have got into, obviously, एक लत पड़ जाता है गीता का कि क्या हो रहा है. बिल्कुल. So once you get and it stabilizes your life. That much you can surely experience yourself, though all that mental instability will slowly
मुझे चैप्टर 7 से एक क्वेश्चन पूछना है.
बिल्कुल पूछिए.
दैट इज वो एक वर्ड कॉन्शियसनेस बहुत फ्रीक्वेंटली यूज होता है लोगों की कमेंट्री में, और चैप्टर 7 में भी इनसाइट में यूज हुआ है अभी. तो वो कॉन्शियसनेस गीता में किस तरह के वर्ड से रिलेट की गई है, तो वो अगर एक्सप्लेन करें तो हमें बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग आएगा.
So in the Gita, the word that is used, or rather, when consciousness is used in the English part of whatever that you are studying about the Gita, it always correlates to Brahma. Brahma, Brahman, not Brahma. Brahma तो creator हो गया. Brahman आपका substratum हो गया. तो जो ब्रह्मन होता है उसके 3 attributes होते हैं, सत, चित्त और आनंद. तो सत जो है, as I said earlier, non-negatable existence, उसको आप और नीचे नहीं जा सकते, उसको और आप काट नहीं सकते. चित्त जो है अवेयरनेस है, इंटेलिजेंस अवेयरनेस. सो समटाइम्स वो अंग्रेजी तो बेकार लैंग्वेज है ना. सो कॉन्शियसनेस इज समटाइम्स यूज्ड फॉर होल ब्रह्म इटसेल्फ, समटाइम्स इज यूज्ड फॉर चित्त. सो यू मस्ट अंडरस्टैंड कि कॉन्टेक्स्ट क्या है. अदरवाइज आप दोनों में जो है कंफ्यूज हो जाओगे. फिर आपका जैसे वो वाला गाना है ना, सिर क्या, जब सिर चकरा जाए तो दिल डूबा जाए,
जो तेरा चकराए तो दिल डूबा जाए.
So then once you get a wrong definition in, then it's very difficult to extract.
Actually, राज, आपके बताने से पहले मैंने यूनिवर्सल कॉन्शियसनेस वर्ड को ब्रह्मन से रिलेट किया था. तो कॉन्शियसनेस मुझे lगा कि शायद हमारी अपनी कॉन्शियसनेस जो हम समझते हैं, जो हमने बुद्धि से ऊपर मनस और वो सब बनाया था.
Sir, वो आपका बड़प्पन है, that you are saying universal consciousness, right? So people use it interchangeably and extremely loosely. वो इंडिविजुअल कॉन्शियसनेस को कॉन्शियसनेस बोलेगा, यूनिवर्सल कॉन्शियसनेस को कॉन्शियसनेस बोलेगा, यूनिवर्सल कॉन्शियसनेस को ब्रह्मन बोलेगा, ब्रह्मन को परमात्मा बोलेगा, आत्मा को जीवात्मा बोलेगा. So you see, when you read some 20 commentaries, you know, अरे बंदा क्या बोल रहा है. You know, finally you say, ठीक है, घूम फिर के क्या बोल रहा है. But otherwise, when you start off, because you see, as engineers and scientists, we are used to precise definitions. Our brain is loaded with precision on precision on precision. So we tend to think forward only when we've had 5 nodes of precision. But here in Sanskrit, you have only imprecision, in the sense, it's a very loosely defined concept. You have to experience it. तो अगर आपने थोड़ा मेडिटेशन किया होगा तो आपको समझ में आएगा कि भाई हमारे अंदर आत्मा है और पूरे संसार में परमात्मा है. अब एक बार ही आप थोड़ा इसको एहसास कर लेंगे तो उस परमात्मा को वो ब्रह्मन बोलेगा, यूनिवर्सल कॉन्शियसनेस बोलेगा. अब इफ यू गो टू औरोबिंदो, ही विल गिव यू सम मोर टर्मिनोलॉजी. सुप्रामेंटल बोलेगा वो. करेक्ट. आई कैन गिव यू 1000 अंग्रेजी which will make you go mad.
I've got sufficient food before me, food for thought. The only thing I have to purify my mind and let's start going so that we can assimilate something, understand something without looking for the understanding, just going ahead.
No, so we have to understand one thing कि इसको शब्द जाल अरण्य बोलते हैं. शब्द का जाल है और वो एक महान जंगल है. Because everybody has to use language, right? When I write something, even Shankaracharya has to use language. So when he uses language as one of the, see, first you have understanding, and from there, when you come to then you have thought, then you have language, and then you have speech. So speech is the 4th generation, 4th level. So at the 4th level, unless you have traveled, so जो विज्ञान होता है, ज्ञान होता है, वो आपको 4th level पे मिलता है, जो वाक होता है. लेकिन आपको you have to go back to what happens in your experience. उसको विज्ञान बोलते हैं. So when we understand this, we don't fight over words. मैं कभी initially, you know, ये definition है, वो definition है, we used to have, but now we become mature to understand. ठीक है, definition तो ये होगा, बंदा बोल क्या रहा है, what is the experience is talking about. So once you get to the level of saying what is the experience, then you can penetrate through the word. I may use a wrong word, but I'm meaning something. Because you also are the level of the same meaning, whatever word is used in between, that does not cause a barrier. So usually all our fighting is over the word. By तूने ये word use किया, मैंने ये word use किया, and therefore my understanding of the word is different from yours. But if the experience is same, जैसे the example that is typically given is, unless you have had sugarcane juice, you will not know what is sweet. Correct.
Definitely. एक शेयर करेंगे. My father was a judge. One of the colleagues said, इलाहाबादी थे, कि जानत हो खोपड़िया भन्नाए जाती, जब सब चीज का करके जजमेंट लिखाना होता है, बहुत महारत की जरूरत बा. ऐसे आसान नहीं है जजमेंट. मतलब जज को सबको सुनना, वकील को, एक वकील साहब को जज, मतलब वो होना था, वकील को जज बनना था, तो इसे नहीं किया. बोले इट इज बेटर टू स्पीक नॉनसेंस फॉर सम टाइम रेदर देन हियर द नॉनसेंस ऑल द टाइम. मतलब जज का बहुत पेशेंस चाहिए होता है. दैट वाज द कमेंट कि to read you need patience. I am talking कि हम ultimately conclusion पे draw करेंगे तो maybe short sightedness होगा. So we have to think ourselves and then can reach maturity.
Yeah. So if you have all tasted sugarcane juice, then if I say meetha in Hindi, sweet in English, and in any other language, we will all be understanding what we mean because we have all experienced sweetness. So language use will know. How do you say sweet in Bengali, Bishu?
Misty.
So we all understand what is being said because the experience is common, right? So that's what we need to understand. So the Bhagavad Gita is not actually a set of shlokas. It is a number of experiences that Krishna is talking about. So some of the experiences are beyond us because we are not mature enough. So we try to use words to understand. So once because Krishna is Yogeshwar, he is actually talking about his experience of yoga. वो है विज्ञान. पूरे भगवद गीता में ज्ञान और विज्ञान है. कभी भगवान ज्ञान देते हैं, कभी विज्ञान देते हैं. तो जब हमें समझ नहीं आता, वो विज्ञान इसलिए समझ नहीं आता क्योंकि भाई वी आर नॉट प्रैक्टिस दैट योगा, नो. So anyway, that is, I think, the learning that we have today. But again, I think it's a fascinating discussion that you had today once again. So
ये विद्यानंद प्रकाश वाले जो बुक है, कैन यू शो द टाइटल?
या मेरे पास एक जो है पुराना एडिशन है, आजकल ये नहीं मिलता है, गीता मकरंद.
ओके, बट गीता मकरंद, लास्ट टाइम यू टोल्ड समथिंग रामसुख दास का था.
नहीं,
गीता माधुर्य था. अच्छा, वो गीता माधुर्य था.
हाँ, वो तो गीता माधुर्य था, ये तो गीता मकरंद है. लेकिन ये जो एडिशन मैं आपको दिखा रहा हूँ, ये बहुत पुराना एडिशन है. ये जो है 1980 का एडिशन है. So that, I mean, just so that you understand, in case you're planning to buy, I'll show you the latest edition.
सुनील, आपने ये किताब ले लिया जय दयाल गोयनका वाला?
नहीं, अभी नहीं लिया है.
अच्छा, इट इज इजी. इसको अगर गीता को पढ़ने के लिए इजीली चाहिए तो उसके जो किस ऑर्डर में पढ़ना है और सारा अन्वय एग्जैक्टली दिया हुआ है. एक
तो ये जो है सेम बुक, ये जो है सेम बुक है गीता मकरंद, विद्या प्रकाशानंदा. ये लेटेस्ट एडिशन है जो मैंने मंगवाया था. तो इसमें इन्होंने बुक का फॉर्मेट जो है थोड़ा चेंज कर दिया है, पेपर क्वालिटी थोड़ा अच्छा कर दिया है, लेकिन फिर भी इट्स ए बल्की बुक. So this is the new book and this is the old book.
अरे ज़्यादा हो गया, ठीक है.
So ये भी अच्छा है. In fact, it is good. But anyway, all books have got some good quality in them. So it is best to have 2 commentaries of the Gita that you really appreciate and go through them up and down, up and down, up and down till you have understood what they have to say. Because every new commentary will offer you a new insight, but how many commentaries can you do justice to? Correct. So it's like it's impossible to, then you will lose touch of the core. So get your core knowledge through some good commentaries. For that you have to experiment. You have to buy a few books. But let us say you have purchased 5 books. Of them you like 3 commentaries very well. So keep aside the 2. Don't read them. Only read what you are comfortable with and keep correlating. Like in the case of Sunil Rastogi, Virajeshwara, and then Yoga of Gita by Ram Shankar Tiwari, and probably the Hindi version of Ram Shankar Tiwari's book is what is comfortable. And Siddhant, what?
Satyavat Siddhantalanka.
Yeah, Satyavat Siddhantalanka.
उनका इंग्लिश वर्जन भी है?
किससे? सिद्धांतलंकार का?
हाँ.
नहीं, that's purely in Hindi.
Okay.
I also got in Hindi only.
Yeah, it's in Hindi. It's not there because he is a Hindi scholar, and Gurukul Kangadi is a hardcore, Hindi-based university. So you will not find English-based stuff there. So this is
that is these 2 books are one of the good books.
Yeah, it is good. It is really good.
नहीं, उनको जिनको थोड़ी सी नॉलेज हो गई है उसके बाद पढ़ना शुरू करें. अगर बिल्कुल नए सिरे से रहेंगे उनको कुछ समझ में नहीं आएगा इससे. So at least you have introduced us at the right time, these 2 books, I found.
Okay,
अगर शुरू में लेते तो कुछ समझ में नहीं आता.
Yeah, absolutely correct. So you need to have a certain amount of, it's like foundation course and first level, right? So foundation course तो आपको दे दिया था with all the yoga. So you're familiar with what the Gita has to say. So now there is a greater desire in all of you to understand what is it that Gita is all about. So I think that's a good sign. So, I mean, I can say I'm very happy because I have a set of very enthusiastic, even if it is only 4 students, at least you are very clear that you want to understand the Gita more. And
अगले असाइनमेंट में हम लोग अपने इन्फ्रेंसेस खुद निकाल सकते हैं rather than going through.
पावरफुल मुट्ठी बन सकती है हम लोगों की.
बिल्कुल बॉस. See the whole idea.
ये भी मतलब जैसे स्मोकर्स इकट्ठा होते हैं ना, तो अब जब कभी मिलेंगे तो गीता वाले अलग इकट्ठे हो जाएंगे.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I can imagine myself and Sunil meeting. We have
पंचतत्व है हम लोग सब. पंचतत्व के क्रिएशन है.
Yeah, that is great.
वो
So on
पंचकल
that
पे एक
count,
thumb भी चाहिए, तो thumb is also with us.
correct, absolutely. Okay, so a little sort of see, my room is being remodeled. I think I told you the work is going to start on Monday. Okay, in the sense, मैं कुछ और shelves लगा रहा हूँ, ये कर रहा हूँ. So I think next week may be difficult because I will have no table. I will have nothing at all. Let me see if it is possible to organize the session, because today we got a call from our interior designer. I'm basically putting up some more shelves because you may say, what more shelves? Don't you have enough shelves? But whatever, that is a different question
Be
altogether.
comfortable, dear. Be comfortable. No issues at all.
So probably next week may be difficult. But nevertheless, I'll keep you posted of the session. But
next
you can go
next
ahead.
week, kindly, when there was a hitch from my side, because I would be traveling on 8th, so I may not be able to access. So anyway, I can go through YouTube.
No hassle.
Whatever.
कौन से flight से आ रहे हो
And
भाई?
15th is
less than a minute left. Okay, fine. So we will catch up later.
Yeah.
Right? I'll catch up. So take care.
Thank you so much.
Namaskar.
Thank you so much for your patience and for your attention in the class.